A mouse that comes in waving a hefty £160 or dollar price tag has got a lot to live up to. Is the successor to the hugely popular V2 Pro worth it? Let's take a look. Razer have released their 3rd gen Viper series mouse, and it definitely has all the specs to support the Pro label. It's a right-handed symmetrical mouse, uses a new Gen 2 Focus Pro 35K sensor. It comes ready to play up to 8K polling rates, and it's lightweight, with the white version stepping on the scales at 55 grams. But what makes this release even more interesting is that it's positioned to go head-to-head with the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2. So what do you get for your money? Well, in the box you get the mouse, of course, a colour matching hyperpolling dongle so you can reach those lofty 8K polling rates, but a bit more on that later. A colour matched braided USB-C to A cable for connecting the dongle to your computer, which even has these really cool little green highlights inside, even on the tiny USB-C end. So this is where your money's going. Then there's a little pack with some instructions, and in the pack there's some grip tape and some stickers. No additional mouse fit here, which I think would have been a nice touch, just to make it feel like it's pro gear, make you feel all joyous about your purchase. The packaging is minimal, it's all cardboard, planet friendly, and it ties in with the green theme, so all good. So I think the first thing to talk about is the look and shape. It's pretty close to the G Pro X Superlight in size, but the shape is actually quite different. It tapers in on the side so it feels narrower and for me more comfortable. It also has a more universally safe shape with a slightly rear hump. The curve down the back is steeper than on the Superlight, which means that it doesn't overwhelm the lower part of your palm, which makes it feel surprisingly nimble for a mouse of this size, even if you don't have big hands. In terms of design, overall it's pretty clean and minimal. The scallop buttons that we're accustomed to make a stylish return, and we have some Razer branding at the back, and I personally love the black accents you get on the white version. There's a light indicator at the front which shows when it's low on battery or its charging status, and it briefly displays the colour associated with your DPI setting when cycling through them with a physical button on the base of the mouse. The smooth touch coating really does feel smooth and premium. At first pickup I thought it might be slippery, but I've had no grip issues at all. I've not tried the black version, but it sounds like there might be some differences in feel between the two, so it's worth bearing in mind. Probably not enough of a difference to affect your decision though either way. After a few weeks of use, I can't see any markings on the white coating. It still looks like new, but obviously it's early days yet. The main buttons are using Gen 3 optical switches. The clicks feel reassuringly solid, but not too heavy, and they're easy to spam. The buttons are scalloped to help finger positioning and comfort, and there's pretty much no sway or pre-travel. The clicks register consistently along the full length of the button too, so these feel really responsive and precise, and that is a big tick. The side button placement is perfect, and clicks feel great here too. They're light and they action quickly, but they're firm enough that you're not hitting them by accident, and there's no mushy feeling. The buttons are high enough to give your thumb plenty of resting space, and the gap between the buttons ensures you don't mix up your button presses. I've got absolutely nothing to complain about here. Scrolling feels pleasant, distinct steps, but light and fast, and it's very quiet too. The scroll wheel click is perfect. Clear tactile click with absolutely no flex in the case when putting force down, so it feels very reassuring. I'm really not a fan when a mouse flexes under the pressure of the scroll wheel being clicked, but there's none of that here though. It feels really solid. The stock feet are decent and big. I actually prefer large skates on mice, so I feel right at home with this. It glides really well and the movement feels fast, although obviously your mouse pad is going to have a massive part to play in the overall feel as well. We have the usual USB-C port on the front for charging and wired play. Battery life seems pretty good. I'm not going to pretend I've tracked this closely, but I certainly don't feel like I'm reaching to charge it all the time, and I've been doing a lot of gaming in the 4K polling rate. There are some nice software features too to help battery life, which I'll cover a bit later. Obviously, playing in 8K comes with a significant trade-off in battery life and potentially gaming performance. 2K feels like the least compromising mode while still getting that amazing feel and responsiveness. The V3 is definitely well constructed and I've no concerns over the build quality, but it is not perfect. When squeezed, my unit does creak a little bit now and again, and then it sort of settles down like you've massaged a few knots out of it. This shouldn't affect anyone's purchase decision though, as it still feels solid and it sounds and feels great in normal use conditions. There's no rattle in this unit, although I did have another white one that had a rattly side button, so I definitely recommend that you test yours out thoroughly. I'm not saying that you're likely to find an issue, but when you're spending this much, you definitely deserve top quality, so don't accept anything that feels iffy. Razer's Synapse is an excellent software counterpart for your V3 mouse that allows plenty of customization for you to dial in your preferences. You can adjust your DPI to a single digit adjustment. I'll just set mine here to odd numbers just to trigger a few people. You can set specific profiles for each game that you play, plus there's a sensitivity matcher so you can find the right sensitivity based on your previous favourite mouse. But for me, the best setting is the battery saving option, where you can choose a different polling rate for when you're actually in game. So any time spent on the desktop isn't hammering battery life and all the juice is saved for when you need it. Desktop notifications can be handy too, such as switching between DPI if you can't remember what the colours mean on the LED indicator. Okay, so here's a quick summary of the pros and the cons. It's so comfy, and with the smooth touch coating and curved sides it feels spot on. Input feels super responsive and smooth in gaming. I cannot fault the way this mouse feels to game on. The buttons are crisp, there's no mushiness, everything feels so reassuring and well built. The scroll wheel is light, fast, and the click is great. The large mouse feet feel great, would love to have seen a spare set included though. I always prefer to have a dedicated DPI button, so I'm glad to see one here, plus onboard memory for saving your settings. Being able to ramp up the polling for gaming only is a superb feature. As a result, I don't have to think about charging all the time, and even when I'm playing in 4K polling rate, as soon as I drop back to the desktop, it's set to automatically drop back down to 1K. What I don't like is the price. By going head to head with its major competitor Logitech, Razer have also followed suit with their eye-watering pricing too. And it's a great mouse, of that there's no doubt, but you're also paying a premium for the brand and both the Pro and 8K labelling. Now I know it seems strange to label a selling point and a Pro feature as a negative, but honestly for many the 8000Hz polling rate will probably not get used. I doubt many would be able to tell the difference between the 4K and 8K click latency, plus there's a huge compromise in battery life and potentially a PC performance hit too. It makes sense for Razer to include it, but I think it's mostly about marketing the mouse as Pro, and it exists to justify the price when most people will actually be very satisfied using 2K and 4K. Overall, there's a lot of great things to say about this mouse, but the price makes it tricky to recommend. I'm glad we have a new competitor for the Superlight, and I would say it's priced competitively, but not fairly, and that's the key difference. In my opinion, no mouse should be this expensive. If you're willing to spend this much and it's between this and the Superlight, then the Viper gets my vote. For me, it's more comfortable, has a better sensor, better skates, better software, and a good old DPI button. If you want value, then you definitely don't need to spend this much to get a great mouse, especially if you're aiming for 1 kHz and above offerings from the likes of Lamzu, Pulsar, or maybe just pick up a Viper V2. Overall, I love using this mouse. It's close to perfect, and if money is no object and you want the best from a known brand, then it's an easy recommendation, which actually really hurts me to say as the price is a big sting in the tail of this mouse. But then that's nothing new in the tech world. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're still here at the end, chuck a snake emoji in the comments just to let me know you've made it this far. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you in some way, please give it a big ol' thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm still Billy No Mates out here and I need all the support I can get. Any questions, hit the comments and I'll catch up with you soon in the next video.